Hello, welcome to Oceanic Oracle. My name is Ari and today we're going to be drawing my April TBR cards. I've got a new lighting system right now because my old one is broken, and until I get a new system this is just going to have to do. Anyway, welcome to the fourth video in my TBR game. If you're new to this channel, I recommend you go watch the first video in the series. I will link it up here in the eye. It's my January TBR and the rules are explained, but for those who aren't bothered, my TBR game involves me drawing cards. All these cards have prompts on them. I have to read books that relate to those prompts. This is also going to be made a bit difficult because I'm also taking part in the Magical Readathon for this whole month. So if you don't know, the Magical Readathon is run by G from Book Roast. I'm going to link her channel up in the eye as well. She has actually come out with this whole Magical Readathon and it's an entirely new world. Choose your own career and you read books based on prompts for that. So I also have to keep those prompts in mind. Hopefully it won't be too hard. I also thought I would make an amends to the rules because previously I said that I would play through the whole deck. I now have 5 sets of cards, so I'll show you all the sets that I have. In the original game that I based this card game on, the goal is to get 5 sets and then you win. Because I have 5 sets, I am going to shuffle everything because I know what the last 7 cards are. I just want to have a chance to restart. So it looks like this game is good enough for 3 months worth of draws. I mean, it just depends on what ends up happening. But I guess I'll show you the sets that I have that I'll complete. So the first set that I have is my brown set. This is my sort of fairy tale retelling as well as mythology retelling cards, some of my favourites. The next set that I completed is my light blue set. So my light blue set are specific fantasy cards. You have magical beast, elemental magic and magical weapons. So that's set number 2. Set number 3 is one of my favourites. It's my romance set. These cards are for romance books. First one, A Rose by Any Other Name, is fantasy romance. Heart Don't Fail Me Now is historical romance. And If Music Be the Food of Love is any romance. It's one of my favourite sets. I have got into romance reading quite recently, so there's that. The next set that I have, which is complete, is my orange set. Orange is my favourite colour, and in this game these represent representation. So LGBTQIA+ representation card, I have my disabled / neurodivergent representation card, and I have my BIPOC card. So it increases the diversity that I read in my books. And finally, the last set that I have is it's just a general set. So these cards represent a book ending in an odd or an even number. So those are all 5 sets that I have, and because I've read all my books for them, I've won. So I'm going to be shuffling them and shuffling everything back into the deck, which will be exciting because then I can mix things up, and hopefully it'll mean that I won't be restricting myself too much at the beginning of this month. We'll see what ends up happening. All the cards that I've had, that I've played, and they're now going back into the deck. I guess before I start drawing the cards, I should explain the Magical Readathon in a bit more detail. So the Magical Readathon, as I already mentioned, it was created by G. G created this whole world. She's created different magical races, different areas. This Magical Readathon takes place at Aurelium Academy. I already have my character design set up and I have my character's abilities set up. Last year in September I went through the novice path with the rest of the early birds, I guess. So I am already a member of a guild, and because of my Magical Readathon in March, I have my conduit and I have my animal companion, because in my guild every being who enters has the ability to summon an animal familiar. My animal familiar is Pip the otter. So my character, her name is Vespera. She is a water earthling, so as you can see I am quite blue. This is the spring equinox term, so I have a list of prompts and a list of subjects. So as part of the Magical Readathon, you select a calling that your character is going towards. G created a whole, like, an entire document full of them. There are 4 career pathways that are specialised depending on the guild that you're in. They tend to be, at least from what I've seen, they tend to be a bit more rigorous. The calling that my character Vespera has, will be going down is that for my guild. My guild is the Order of the Crescent, and I've chosen to pursue the calling of Master of the Elements. I have to read 6 books, and typically I read over 7 in a month, so I should be okay with this. I will be drawing 7 cards out of my deck, so hopefully the cards will be nice to me and things will be interesting. For Master of the Elements, you have elemental studies, obviously, shape-shifting, animal studies, astronomy, conjuration, and restoration. There are prompts linked with every one of those, and I will explain those once I work out what goes with what. This is going to be fun. I am so excited to be diving back in. I absolutely love this readathon and I can't wait. So without further ado, I'm just going to go shuffle these. I'm going to move you to my desk and let's get started on the drawing. Hello and welcome to the table where I draw the cards. So as you can see, I have them here. I've shuffled them. I'm just going to cut them because that's how I was taught to play cards. Let's go. The first card that we have is The Wild Outdoors. Read a fantasy book that takes place primarily outside. Okay, should be able to do that. Okay, so as you just saw, the first card that we drew was The Wild Outdoors, which is to read a book that takes place primarily outdoors. So the book that I've chosen for this is one that I have had on my TBR for a while, and now I guess is the time for me to actually pick it up. The book I've chosen is The Last Wish. In the Magical Readathon, one of the classes that I have to take is shapeshifting, and the course focus for the spring equinox is formation claws, and read a book that has a creature with claws on the cover. Last time I checked, dragons have claws, also fangs, and breathe fire. I'm really looking forward to this. If you don't know, The Witcher is a it's a Netflix show as well as a video game series. The first season came out in the beginning of 2020 and the second season's just came out earlier this year. I really enjoyed the TV show. I'm looking forward to see what Geralt does in this book. This is a fantasy book, and as far as I'm aware, it's also translated. It's translated from Polish. So yeah, I am excited. Hopefully I like it. If I like this fantasy book, maybe I'll pick up the rest on my Kindle just to give my shelves a bit of space, but there we go. I'm looking forward to that. That's fun. So that is my first card and my first Magical Readathon prompt. Okay, time for card number 2. Card number 2 is If Music Be the Food of Love, Read Any Romance. Perfect. So the second card that I picked up is If Music Be the Food of Love, which is to read any romance. I'm continuing with my reread of the Bridgerton series, or the books that I like the most, and I've chosen to reread On the Way to the Wedding. This is Gregory's book and the last book in the series. I love this book. I really enjoy Gregory as a character. In the later books in the series, you get more development for Hyacinth and Gregory. They're some of my favourites. Hyacinth's book is so good. I can't wait for that to be adapted in the TV show. But anyway, aside from that, this is Gregory's book. For the Magical Readathon, this book is for my Animal Studies class, and our course focus is The Ways of Pegasus, and it's to read to have a quick read. I go through these really quickly. I can go through them in like a few hours if I have the time. I absolutely love them. I'm just really, really excited. If you don't know, this so obviously this book follows Gregory, and it's the last book in the series, so you know who everyone else is paired up with basically by the time it gets to this. This is Gregory's turn, like it's Gregory's turn for his love story. He believes in like true love because he's seen all his siblings get together with their respective partners, and like I have a soft spot for Greg. The general premise is really fun too. So you have Gregory sees someone and believes he loves them, and then there's more than meets the eye basically, and it's just fantastic. I highly recommend it, and I love the series, so Gregory's book is just so much fun. It's fantastic, I love it, and I can't wait to read it. I'm so excited. Okay, card number 3. What do we have here? Non-fiction. Read a book classed as non-fiction. Okay, I'm gonna have to look at my shelves. Hopefully I'll find something. So, my non-fiction card. So, this is interesting. It'll be an interesting way for people to interpret non-fiction. I'm including this in non-fiction because there is definitely non-fiction sections. Well, there are definitely non-fiction sections in this. And it's Philocrates. If you know your ancient Greek playwrights, you'll know who Sophocles is. This book is a translated piece from ancient Greek play to modern day. There's a long introduction and discussion on the translation, which I intend to read. And then the play isn't that long. Well, it's nearly 1,500 lines long. It's not a long play. I mean, plays aren't typically really thick. For the Magical Readathon, this book works for my Elemental Studies course, and the course focus for Elemental Studies is the basics of air dynamics, and the prompt for that is to read a book that's under 100 pages. As you can see, pretty short book. The play itself is, I think, 60 pages long, whereas the introduction and notes on the translation are about 30 pages. So I should be able to go through this quite quickly. I will probably read this in one sitting because that's like when I'm reading a play, I need to read it in one sitting. Similar to when you actually enjoy the play on stage and stuff. But yeah, I am looking forward to this. This is a play about a Greek warrior who gets abandoned on the way to Troy, and it's about their life, surviving in Asia Minor. I have read a few plays by Sophocles before, and I'm interested to see what he does with this one. So there we go. Card number 4. What have we got? Far Away Place. Read a book set in a different country. Okay, I can do that. Next card. Far Away Place. So read a book that takes place in a different country. Very easy for me. I only have a few books that take place in Hong Kong, not very many. For this card, I have chosen a Bridgerton prequel. First comes Scandal. Now, I have a few reasons that I need to reread this. Firstly, I'm just in the mood for historical romance at the moment. Blame Bridgerton. But more importantly, there's a prompt on the Magical Readathon that I actually need to read a book that features a healer. I'm taking restoration class, and the focus of this course is to cure wounds, so I have to read a book that features a healer. In this book, the main male lead is training to become a doctor, and there is quite a bit of medical stuff that goes on in here. Not a traditional healer in the sense of fantasy, but definitely a modern day healer, and healing is a big part of this book. I'm looking forward to rereading this. I actually really want to reread the 3rd book in the series, but I like this. There's Marriage of Convenience, there's Friends to Lovers, and I'm really looking forward to this. Did I find as many ways as I could to put romance on here? Yes. Am I mad? No. Card number 5 is Lightning Strikes Twice. Read a myth retelling. Oh goody, I have plenty. Well, the next card that you saw me drew was Lightning Strikes Twice, which is to read a mythology retelling. Very appropriate. I'm considering my reread of the Percy Jackson series, so I'm continuing on with The Titan's Curse. I have already started, but I have been putting it off because I have been focusing on things relating to work at the moment. But I'm excited. The Titan's Curse story is so fun. So this book follows 14-year-old Percy Jackson, or technically 13-year-old, because it happens in winter as opposed to the rest of the books, which actually happen in the summer. And it focuses on traveling to the west coast of the United States. You bump into some pretty important people, you meet some pretty important people. Artemis is in this one, Apollo is introduced in here. I'm reading this book for my astronomy class, and in astronomy our focus is basics in asteroids and comets, and the prompt for that is to read a book on top of your TBR. This is basically on the top of my TBR at the moment because I am looking forward to picking that up. We'll see in which order I read it. Card number 6 is LGBTQIA+ representation. Read any book by an LGBTQ+ author and or featuring an LGBTQ+ protagonist. I can definitely do that. As you saw, I just picked up the LGBTQIA+ representation, which is to read a book by an LGBTQIA+ author or featuring an LGBTQIA+ main character. For this card, I've decided to reread one of the most heartwarming books that I can. That is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I am really looking forward to this reread. I've chosen to, I guess, be a little bit easy on myself. This book has nothing to do with the Magical Readathon. This is just for my enjoyment, purely for my enjoyment, and I'm so excited. This book is about two boys falling in love, but also the self-discovery of one of these boys who didn't know that he actually likes guys. So it's a story of discovery. It's like a coming of age story. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy this series, and I'm looking forward to rereading this book because I'm ready, my heart. And it definitely fits the LGBTQIA+ prompt. So we have Everyday Magic. Read a fantasy book set in the real world. Okay, hopefully I'll be able to get that, but we'll see. Last but definitely not least, I have picked up the Everyday Magic card, which is to read a fantasy book set in the real world, so magical realism. And I've decided to go for Of Song and Tide. So I actually found this on Kindle Unlimited. It's a mermaid romance. I've just been in the mood to read about mermaids and that sort of thing. So this book takes place in our world in Ireland. I'm assuming it's about a mer person falling in love with a human. Usually that's how they are, but this could be different. The Magical Readathon. I'm taking conjuration class. So the prompt for this is a source of light on the cover. Now you may be wondering how this cover actually applies. The marine biologist in me is coming out. So you see the jellyfish? Those jellyfish all are producing bioluminescence, and bioluminescence, if you are unaware, is a chemical reaction that takes place within organisms that causes light to be perceived. So if you've seen videos of jellyfish at night, in the complete dark, having rainbows and stuff, I'm sure there are videos on YouTube, but that's what I'm talking about. And I'm quite proud of myself for coming up with that because I was struggling so hard to find something, but I'm so excited. I am determined to read this book this month, so there we go. So those are all the prompts that I have to read in April. This is going to be fun. Hopefully I'll be able to go through them pretty quickly. The one thing I will note is I do have 2 green cards, so I am already on my way to having a set, which is nice. I also like the amount of choice that I have, because if I did what I was originally going to do and just draw the last 7 cards in the deck, it would have been a bit tough. I wouldn't have enjoyed drawing them as much as I have now. But yes, there we go. That is, those are all the books I have to read. Hopefully I have time, but we'll see. April should be all right. I hope you've got some inspiration for your own TBR. Let me know what you're planning on reading in the comments below. I'm really interested. And if any other prompts have interested you, feel free to take them. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe if you want more bookish content. Be sure to check out the TBR playlist if you're interested in seeing the past prompts and you're interested in playing along with me. Feel free to check them out. I hope you have a wonderful day or night, depending on when you're watching this. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!